Some stories don't need fancy words to touch the heart. They speak through their truth and simplicity. Today, join me on a journey through 5 inspiring stories, where every challenge becomes an opportunity and every struggle marks the beginning of something extraordinary. 1. What do hardships leave behind? The shortest way out of hardship is through it. Anonymous. A young man was going through many difficulties. He was hurt and had lost faith in life. He went to seek advice from a wise old man. After hearing the story, the old man said nothing. He silently placed a pot on the stove, poured in some water, and added a carrot, a lump of salt, and an egg. After boiling it, he opened the lid and looked at the young man in silence. After a while, he began to speak. Everyone in life has to go through difficulties and challenges, but what matters is what happens afterward. Look here. The salt looked solid on the outside but dissolved in water. The carrot was firm but became soft when heated. And the egg, though fragile, became hard after being boiled in hot water. 2. The story of building the Brooklyn Bridge. Never, never, never give up. Winston Churchill. The Brooklyn Bridge, which spans the river between Manhattan and Brooklyn, is truly a miracle in construction. In 1883, a creative engineer named John Roebling was full of excitement when he came up with the idea to build a spectacular bridge between the two cities. However, when he presented his bold idea, not a single bridge expert agreed to work with him. They thought he was crazy and told him to forget it because it was impossible to build such a bridge. Undeterred, he went home and persuaded his son Washington, also a promising engineer, that the bridge could be built. The father and son shared the dream of completing the bridge and discussed ways to overcome all the obstacles. Eventually, banks believed in them and agreed to fund the bridge project. Extremely excited and passionate, they hired workers and began constructing their dream bridge. A few months into the project, tragedy struck. An accident at the construction site claimed John Roebling's life, and his son was severely injured in the head. After the accident, Washington could no longer walk or speak. Everyone thought the project would collapse, since only the Roeblings knew how to build the bridge. Although he couldn't move or talk, Washington Roebling's mind was still sharp. One day, lying in the hospital, he suddenly came up with a way to talk to others. The only part of his body he could move was one finger, and he devised a tapping code. With this code, he tapped his thoughts into his wife's hand to communicate what needed to be told to the engineers who were continuing to build the bridge. For 13 years, Washington gave orders using his single moving finger until the magnificent Brooklyn Bridge we see today was completed. 3. A lesson from the martial arts master. Most of our happiness or unhappiness is determined by our character, not our circumstances. Martha Washington. A 10-year-old boy decided to learn judo, even though he had lost his left arm in a car accident. He studied judo with a Japanese master. Believing he had been practicing hard and progressing well, the boy was puzzled why, after 3 months of training, the master had only taught him one move. Eventually, the boy couldn't stand it and asked his master, "Sensei, can't I learn other moves?" He replied, "This is the only move I will teach you, and it's the only move you need to know." Though not fully understanding, the boy trusted his master and continued to train. Months later, the master entered him in a judo competition. The boy was surprised to win the first 2 matches easily. The third match was tougher, but the opponent became impatient, and the boy skillfully used the move and won. Still amazed by his success, he confidently entered the finals. This time, his opponent was a tall, strong, and experienced fighter. Early in the match, the boy took multiple hits and was clearly overpowered. At the end of the first round, fearing injury, the referee wanted to end the match early, but the master disagreed. Let the boy continue. The master insisted. Right after the match resumed, the opponent made a critical mistake. He underestimated the boy and dropped his guard. Immediately, the boy used his one move to throw him down and pin him. The boy became the champion. On the way home, the master and student reviewed each match. The boy finally gathered the courage to ask, "Sensei, how did I become champion with only one move?" "You won for two reasons," the master replied. "First, you've nearly mastered one of the most dangerous and effective moves in judo. Second, the only way your opponent could defend against it was to grab your left arm. But you don't have a left arm. Sometimes, someone's weakness can become their strongest strength. Having strengths is good, but turning a weakness into an advantage is even more amazing. Believe in yourself. You can do anything." 4. Good news. The meaning of life is not about what it brings to you, but about your attitude toward it. Not about what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Lewis L. Dunnington. A newly graduated student was looking for a job and entered a national creative competition. After many rounds over a month, he made it to the finals. He overcame his opponents in the 3-day final and won first place. The prize was a large sum of money he had never imagined during his student years. After leaving the hall and avoiding the cameras, he headed to the parking lot. Suddenly, a woman approached him in tears. "Sir, congratulations on winning such a difficult competition. I have something to say, if I may. If you had children, you'd understand what I'm about to say. My child is seriously ill with cancer in the hospital, and without a large amount of money. How much do you need?" he asked, genuinely concerned. After hearing her out, he handed her the envelope with his entire prize money. "I hope your child pulls through. Please go take care of him now," he said. "Thank you so much. I don't know how I could ever repay you." She quickly left. A few days later at school, someone came up and said, "I heard you gave your prize money to a woman after the contest for her dying child. Is that true?" The young man nodded. "Then I must tell you, she's a scammer. She has no dying child. You were tricked." After a moment of silence, the young man asked, "So, there really isn't a dying child?" "That's right. I guarantee it." "Oh, that's the best news I've heard all day," he replied. Then he added, "We should celebrate. No child has to die." 5. The hospital window. Blessed are those who bring joy to others in silence. Anonymous. Two seriously ill men shared a hospital room. One had fluid in his lungs. The other was paralyzed. Each afternoon, the man with lung issues had to sit up for an hour to help his lungs drain. His bed was next to the room's only window. The paralyzed man lay in bed all day. They often talked for hours about family, friends, and memories from their military service. Every afternoon, when the man by the window sat up, he would describe what he saw outside to the other man. Through his stories, the paralyzed man lived in a colorful world beyond the window. He imagined a lush park with a calm blue lake and swans gliding peacefully. Children floated paper boats on the lake, and couples strolled hand in hand among blooming roses. It was like a beautiful painting. While the man by the window spoke, the other closed his eyes and pictured the dreamlike scenery. One warm afternoon, the man described a military parade. Though he couldn't hear the music, the paralyzed man imagined the majestic scene. Time passed. One morning, the nurse brought water and found the man by the window motionless. He had passed away peacefully in his sleep. After his death, the paralyzed man asked to be moved to the bed by the window. In great pain, he slowly propped himself up to look outside. But all he saw was a blank white wall. Later, he learned the truth. His late roommate had been blind. He hadn't even been able to see the wall. What he wanted was to bring his friend joy and comfort. Life isn't always easy, but in those moments when we feel like giving up, we often find the most powerful stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things through faith, resilience, and kindness. If you're feeling lost, remember this: Even the most ordinary person can create an unforgettable story, just like you.